What up, peeps? Welcome back. Welcome back to the flip side. It's been a while. I've been busy, but we're finally gonna get through the end of the premise of the Orwellian 2025 dystopia plan, otherwise known as Project 2025. Where radical Republicans want to take full control of the government so they can save America. Fucking idiots. Let's just get through this, shall we? Promise number 3. Defend our nation's sovereignty, borders, and bounty against global threats. Global threats? Like what? Like what? The United States belongs to we the people. No, it doesn't. It never belonged to us. It belonged to the people in power. It didn't even belong. It didn't even belong to women or minorities when it began. It belonged to white men. Okay? In the 1700s, okay? All government authority derives from the consent of the people. No. Lies. The American people's right to rule ourselves is the averse of our duty. We cannot outsource to others our obligation to ensure the conditions that allow our families, local communities, churches, and synagogues. Stop putting religion into this. Keep my fucking religion out of your shit. Stop. Okay? Religion has nothing to do with politics. It's a completely separate thing. Okay? You need to keep God out of your fucking 1984 manual, please. But I know they won't. And neighborhoods to thrive. The buck stops with each of us, so each of us must have the freedom to pursue the good for ourselves and those entrusted to our care. To most Americans, this is common sense. But in Washington, D.C. and other centers of leftist power like the media and the academy, this statement of basic civics is branded hate speech. Progressive elites speak in lofty terms of openness, progress, expertise, cooperation, and globalization. But too often, these terms are just rhetorical Trojan horses concealing their true intention, stripping we the people of our constitutional authority over our country's future. No way, nah. But they act like they haven't been doing the same. They really act like that. It's just the left. America's corporate and political elites do not believe in the ideals to which our nation is dedicated: self-governance, the rule of law, and ordered liberty. They certainly do not trust the American people, and they disdain the Constitution's restrictions on their ambitions. Instead, they believe in a kind of 21st century Wilsonian order in which the enlightened, highly educated managerial elite run things rather than humble, patriotic working families who make up the majority of what the elites contemptuously call flyover country. What? Guys, we're just discovering this. What? No way. You're just saying this now? The Wilsonian hubris has spread like a cancer through many of America's largest corporations, its public institutions, and its popular culture. Those who run our so-called American corporations have been bent to the will of the woke agenda. and care more for their foreign investors and organizations than their American workers and customers. Today, nearly every top-tier U.S. university president of Wall Street or Wall Street hedge fund manager has more in common with a socialist. The European head of state than with the parents at a high school football game in Waco, Texas. Many elites' entire identity, it seems, is wrapped up in their sense of superiority over those people. But under our Constitution, under our straight white power, that's what I'm gonna call it. That's what it's called. It's called straight white power. I sound like a fucking liberal right now, but it's true. It's true. The Constitution was only written for white men. Seriously. So that's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it, since we're talking about Project 2025, since we're talking about a intense right-wing agenda thing, I'm going to call it white power. Under our white power, they are the mere equals of the workers who shower after work instead of before. What? I don't get that. Personally, I actually shower after work. I don't know. I don't like showering and then I don't like getting up in the morning, showering, only to get dirty again and then have to take a shower. Another shower. How about just wake up, get dirty, and then go take a shower so you can get all that dirt off of you. You know? What a waste of water. I gotta get up and get in the shower. Okay, now I gotta go to work. Oh, I'm dirty. I gotta go take another shower. Fuck out of here. Anyway, this is as it should and must be. Intellectual sophistication, advanced degrees, financial success, and all other markers of elite status have no bearing on a person's knowledge. Okay, we're still recording. Person's knowledge of the one thing most necessary for governance, what it means to live well. That knowledge is available to each of us, no matter how humble our backgrounds or how unpretentious our attainments. It is open to us to read in the book of human nature, to which we are all offered the key just by merit of our shared humanity. One of the great premises of American political life, American political life, is that everyone who can read in that book must have a voice in deciding the course and fate of our republic. More like our empire. Progressive policymakers and pundits in America, either fail to understand this premise or intentionally reject it. They enthusiastically support supranational organizations like the United Nations and European Union, which are run and staffed almost entirely by people who share their values and are mostly insulated from the influence of national elections. That's why they are eager for America to sign international treaties on everything from pharmaceutical patents to climate change to the rights of the child, and why those treaties invariably endorse policies that could never pass through the U.S. white power. Like the progress Woodrow Wilson a century ago, the woke left today sees a world bound by global treaties they write, in which they exercise dictatorial powers over all nations without being subject to a democratic accountability. All right, let me get into Woodrow Wilson real quick, okay? I just love how they mention what Woodrow Wilson. You know, of course, the president that lied to African Americans, saying that there would be progress made. In fact, he ignored them. Okay, and you know what he said? He said that a African American has no place in government. He said that that an African American, instead of being in government, should be in a cornfield. That's what he said. You can fucking quote him on that. So how fucking dare they bring up Woodrow Wilson? How fucking dare they? Honestly, fuck you. Fuck you. I hope Woodrow will. He is. I don't hope. I know he is fucking burning in hell right now. How fucking dare they bring him up? He should be fucking casted in the history books for one of the worst. Actually, he probably is one of the worst. Anyway, I'm getting pressed. I'm getting so pressed. Anyway, the woke left seeks a world bound by global treaties, they write, in which they exercise a dictatorial power over all nations without being subject to democratic accountability. That's why today's progressive left so cavalierly supports open borders, despite the lawless humanitarian crisis their policy created across America's southern border. They seek to purge the very concept of the nation-state from the American ethos. No matter how much crime increases or resources drop for schools and hospitals, or wages decrease for the working class. Open border activism is a classic example of what the German theologian Dietrich Bonhoeffer called cheap grace, publicly promoting one's own virtue without risking any personal inconvenience. Indeed, the only direct impact of open borders on pro-open borders elites is that the constant flow of illegal immigration suppresses the wages of their housekeepers, landscapers, and busboys. Cheap grace aptly describes the left's love affair with environmental extremism. Those who suffer most from the policies environmentalism would have us enact are the aged, poor, and vulnerable. It is not a political cause, but a pseudo-religion meant to baptize liberals' ruthless pursuit of absolute power in the holy water of environmental virtue. At its very heart, environmental extremism is decidedly anti-human. Stewardship and conservation are supplanted by population control and economic regression. Environmental ideologies would ban the fuels that run almost all the world's cars, planes, factories, farms, and electricity grids, abandoning confidence in human resilience and creativity in responding to the challenges of the future would raise impediments to the most meaningful human activities. They would stand human affairs on their head, regarding human activity itself as fundamentally a threat to be sacrificed to the God of nature. The same goals are the heart of elite support for economic globalizations. For 30 years, America's political, economic, and cultural leaders embraced the enriched communist China and its genocidal Communist Party while hollowing out American industrial base. America's industrial base. What may have started out with good intentions has now been made clear. Unfettered trade with China has been a catastrophe. It has made a handful of American corporations enormously profitable while twisting their business incentives away from American people's needs. For a generation, politicians of both parties promised that engagement with Beijing would grow our economy while injecting American values into China. The opposite has happened. American factories have closed. Jobs have been outsourced. Our manufacturing economy has been financialized, and all along the corporations profiting failed to export our values of human rights and freedom. Rather, they imported China's anti-American values into their sea suits. Even before the rise of big tech, the Wall Street Journal ignored China's serial theft of American intellectual property. It outright cheered the elimination of American. How much fucking more? Okay, we're almost done. Manufacturing jobs. Learn to code, they would gloat. They actually put that in there, no way. Learn to code, guys, you're gonna get outsourced. These were just the price of progress. Engagement was at every step Beijing's project, not America's. The Chinese Communist Party dictated terms, only to break them whenever it suited them. They stole our technology, spied on our people, and threatened our allies, all with trillions of dollars of wealth and military power financed by their access to our market. Then came the rise of big tech, which is now less a contributor to the U.S. economy than it is a tool of China's government. In exchange for cheap labor and regulatory special treatment from Beijing, America's largest technology firms funnel data about Americans to the CCP. They hand over sensitive intellectual property with military and intelligence applications to keep the money rolling in. They let Beijing censor Chinese users on their platform. They let the CCP let the corporate policies about mobile apps, and they run interference for our rivals' political priorities in Washington. One side of big tech companies' business model is old-fashioned American competitiveness and world-changing technological information. But increasingly, that side of these businesses is overshadowed by their role as operatives in the lucrative employ of America's most dangerous international enemy. If you want to understand the danger posed by collaboration between big tech and CCP, look no further than TikTok. Oh boy, TikTok. Remember when they tried to get that shit banned? I mean, if they were trying to get it banned now, then it was already too late for people. You know, we should have been very cautious with Chinese technology. You know, they probably have tons of our data, and it's too late to stop it. And you know what? It doesn't make a fucking difference. The U.S. has a collection of every phone call you've ever made in a database. Did you know that? They have collections of every phone call you've ever made in a database. I'm not kidding. You can look it up. I'm not kidding. I don't know how hard it will. I can't guarantee how hard it will find. It will be able to find, but the information's out there. It's in a database. They're doing research on it. For what? I don't know. The highly addictive video app used by 80 million Americans every month and overwhelmingly popular among teenage girls is in effect a tool of Chinese espionage. The ties between TikTok and the Chinese government are not loose, and they are not coincidental. Once again, I just want to say that if TikTok is such a problem, instead of trying to get rid of it, they should be encouraging parents to limit their child's screen time. You know, or encourage parents to do more research on TikTok and the effects of the mental health. All right? I don't have TikTok. I never posted a single thing. The same can be observed of many U.S. colleges and universities. Through the CCP's Confucius Institutes, Beijing has been just as successful at compromising and co-opting our higher education systems as they have been compromising and co-opting corporate America. A casual reader might take the last few pages as surveying a broad array of challenges facing the American people and the next conservative and Trump. Supranational policymaking, border security, globalization, and engagement with China, manufacturing, big tech, and Beijing compromised colleges. But these really are not many issues, but two. Number one, that China is a totalitarian enemy of the divided states, not a strategic partner or fair competitor. And two, that American elites have betrayed the American people. The solution to all of the above problems is not to tinker with this or that government program, to replace this or that bureaucrat. These are problems not of technocratic efficiency, but of national sovereignty and white power governance. We solve them not by trimming and reshaping the leaves, but by ripping out the trees, roots, and branch. International organizations and agreements that erode our Constitution, rule of law, or popular sovereignty should not be reformed. They should be abandoned. Illegal immigration should be ended, not mitigated. The border sealed, not reprioritized. Okay. Let me just fucking say. Let me just say this. We've been having illegal immigration since the beginning of this country. Okay? Our government officials do drugs. How do you think they get these drugs? Obviously, from the cabals and the mafias and the cartels that have existed for a very long time. Across the world and from Mexico and wherever. They need some of these people to get in the country so they can do their... Okay? They need them. Okay? We're going to go on and on and on for centuries about illegal immigration. You know why it's never solved? Because our amazing government is too addicted to drugs. Alright? And you know what? Well, why don't they do something about them? I already told you why. And you know why? They won't. Because the United States already has the biggest cartel in the world. It's called the pharmaceutical industry. Anyway, economic engagement with China should be ended, not rethought. What do you mean? Everything's made in China, bro. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? It's not gonna end. You know how much of our stuff is made in China? Seriously. If we just stopped, we would have major issues. Alright? We need international trade anyway, because you ever tried a banana from the United States? Disgusting! They made a song about that, actually. I forgot what it was called. Just look up bananas or something. It's a parody of Havana, but just look it up. Confucius Institutes, TikTok, and any other arm of Chinese propaganda and espionage should be outlawed. Outlawed, okay. Alright. Not merely monitored. Universities taking money from the CCP should lose their accreditation, charters, and eligibility for federal funds. Alright, first of all, dumbasses. If you make something illegal, and you should know this, you, out of all people, should know this, with the left wanting all the gun control. You can't make guns illegal. They'll just become more dangerous, and they'll be traded illegally. They're going to go underground. So apply that same motherfucking logic to TikTok and other apps. Okay? What are people going to do? Seriously, they're going to go on the dark web so they can access TikTok or Temu or something like that. You know, Basically, let me explain it like this to people that aren't really understanding. Monkey has banana. But King Monkey says, me no like banana no more. Me like coconut. No more monkey have banana. No monkeys with bananas anymore. So, guess what? Monkey secretly get banana without King knowing. More monkeys make more banana trades without King knowing, and monkeys have to make sure that King don't know about banana trade. So when other monkeys that like coconuts find out about illegal bananas, the monkeys with bananas have to kill monkeys that know about bananas so that King don't know about bananas. Do you guys understand how this works now? Do you guys understand this? This is why we have cabals and we have illegal trading and stuff like that. Alright. Moving on. The next conservative president, aka Donald Trump, should go beyond merely defending America's energy interests, but go on offense, asserting them around the world. America's vast reserves of oil and natural gas are not environmental problems. Not an environmental problem. They are the lifeblood of economic growth. American dominance of the global energy market would be a good thing for the world, and more importantly, for we the people. We the people? Nah, they the people. Okay? Them the people. It is more like it. Them the people. It's not just about jobs, even though unleashing domestic energy production would create millions of them. It's not just about higher wages for workers who didn't go to college, though they would receive the raises they have missed out on for 2 generations. Full spectrum strategic energy dominance would facilitate the reinvigoration of America's entire industrial and manufacturing sector as we disentangle our economy from China. Oof, I'm having trouble reading right now because I'm so pressed. Globally, it would rebalance power away from dangerous regimes in Russia and the Middle East. It would build powerful alliances with fast-growing nations in Africa and provide us with leverage to counter Chinese ambitions in southern Africa and the Pacific. Locally, it would drive billions of dollars of private investment and the communities that have been hammered by globalization since the 90s. And it would clarify our intentions to Beijing that the next president can ensure that a large part of America's reindustrialization is in the production of the equipment we will need to dissuade future foreign meddling with U.S. vital interests. Okay, Promise 4. Woohoo! Alright, Promise 4. Secure our God-given individual right to enjoy the blessing of liberty. First of all, these were not God-given rights. These were government-given rights. Okay? They weren't God-given. First of all, people in China don't have God-given rights. How about that? If God gave them rights, then why the fuck does China's government exist the way it does? Or any other... how about Russia? Or how about when we had the USSR? Or, you know, stuff like that. If they had God-given rights, they'd be pretty... They'd be pretty happy. But no. The rights that were given to them by the government. Dumbasses! Let's see how long this is. Not that long. The Declaration of Okay. The Declaration of Dependence famously asserted the belief of America's founders that all men are created equal and endowed with God-given rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's the pursuit of happiness, that is central to America's heroic experiment in self-government. Okay, that's such bullshit. Self-government. When the founders spoke of pursuit of happiness, what they meant might be understood today in the essence, pursuit of blessedness. That is, an individual must be free to live as his creator ordained, to flourish. Our white power grants each of us the liberty to do not what we want, but what we ought. This pursuit of the good life is found primarily in family, marriage, Look at this shit! Look at this shit! The pursuit of good life is found in family, marriage, children, Thanksgiving dinners, and the like. Thanksgiving dinners. You can't forget Thanksgiving dinners, guys. You can't forget it. You can't forget Thanksgiving. Guys, happiness is found in Thanksgiving. Don't you know this? Okay. And I can name some family members or friends of my parents that are happier without children. Many find happiness through their work. Think of dedicated teachers or healthcare professionals you know, entrepreneurs or plumbers throwing themselves into their business. Anyone who sees a job well done as a personal reward. Religious devotion and spirituality are the greatest source of happiness around the world. Still others find themselves happiest in their local voluntary communities of friends, their neighbors, their civic or charitable work. The American Republic was founded on principles prioritizing and maximizing individuals' rights to live their best life or to enjoy what the framers called the blessings of liberty. It's this radical equality, liberty for all, not just rights, but of authority, that the rich and powerful have hated about democracy in America since '76. They resent Americans' audacity in insisting that we don't need them to tell us how to live. It's this inalienable right of self-direction, of each person's opportunity to direct himself or herself and his or her community to the good that the ruling class disdains. They're so unself-aware of themselves that this is exactly what we want, but we never got it, ever. Ever. And they're not going to give it to us. Seriously. They act like, yeah, we know this is what you want, but they don't fucking give it to us. We never got it. Never. Anyway, with the Declaration and white power, our nation's founders handed to us the means with which to preserve this right. Abraham Lincoln wrote of the Declaration as an apple of gold. Don't fucking get started with Abraham Lincoln. Don't fucking get started with Abraham Lincoln. Don't. Please. Please don't. You know, you guys should do your research on Abraham Lincoln, okay? The man who censored the media, the man who had people go out silencing people that are just reporting news, Okay? The person that had people killed because he didn't like what he was hearing in the news. Fucking dictator. So must Donald Trump look to these documents when the elites mount their next assault on liberty. Left to our own devices, the American people rejected European monarchy and colonialism, just as we rejected slavery, second-class citizenship for women, mercantilism, socialism, Wilsonian globalism, fascism, communism, and today, wokeism. To the left, these assertions of patriotic self-assurance are just so many signs of our moral depravity and intellectual inferiority. Proof that, in fact, we need a ruling elite making decisions for us. But Donald Trump should be proud, not ashamed, of Americans' unique culture of social equality and ordered liberty. After all, the countries where Marxist elites have won political and economic power are all weaker, poorer, and less free for it. The divided states remains the most innovative and upwardly mobile society in the world. Government should stop trying to substitute its own preferences for those of the people, and Donald Trump should champion the dynamic genius of free enterprise against the grim miseries of elite-directed socialism. Remains the... Okay. The promise of socialism, communism, Marxism, progressivism, fascism, whatever name it chooses, is simple. Government control of the economy can ensure equal outcomes for all people. The problem is that it has never done so. There is no such thing as the government. What? There are just people who work for the government and wield its power, and who, at almost every opportunity, wield it to serve themselves first and everyone else in the distant second. This is not a failing of one nation or socialist party, but inherent in human nature. Guys! There's no such thing as the government. There is no such thing as the government. There is just people who work for the government. Please don't believe anyone who says government. Government does not exist. There is no government. There has never been government. You are in full control. You are choosing who you want to run the country. Everything is fine. Believe us. Believe us. There is no such thing as the government. Dumbass! How could they fucking write this shit? Seriously. Look up U.S. government. Dumbass. Nighttime satellite images of the Korean... What? Nighttime satellite images of the Korean peninsula famously show the free market south lit up with homes, businesses, and cities... I had no idea where we were going. And cities electrified from coast to coast. By contrast, communist North Korea is almost completely dark, except for the small dot on the capital city, Pyongyang, where a psychotic dictator and his cronies live. The same phenomena is on display in the infuriating fact that 4 of the 6 richest countries in the U.S. are suburbs of Washington, D.C., a city famous for its lack of native productive industries. We see the same corruption expressed on an individual level whenever billionaire climate activists who want to outlaw carbon-fueled transportation fly to A-list conferences on their private jets, or when COVID-19 shut down politicians like former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and California Governor Gavin Newsom. were caught at their hair salon or dining at fancy restaurants after moralizing about how everyone must stay home and forego such luxuries during the pandemic. Don't fucking act like Republicans didn't do the same. Don't fucking act like you're not as bad. Fucking idiots. They act like, oh, it's just them doing this stuff. It's the left. No, it's the fucking right too. I probably couldn't count on my hands and feet combined how many right-wingers in power probably were doing all this stuff too. Seriously, the hypocrisy is so real. It is evident. It's literally evident. I mean, how can you believe a word coming out of their mouth? How can you believe that it was only left-wing politicians doing this? How can you believe that? How can anyone believe that? For socialists, who are almost all well-to-do, socialism is not a means of equalizing outcomes, but a means of accumulating power. They never get around to helping anyone else. The Soviet Empire was a social and economic failure. North Korea, despite the opulence of its tyrants, is one of the poorest nations in the world. Cuba is so corrupt that its people regularly risk their lives to escape to Florida on rafts. Venezuela was one of the richest nations in South America. Today, a decade after a Marxist dictator took over, 94% of Venezuelans live in poverty. Even Socialist Senator Bernie Sanders' home state of Vermont was forced to repeal the state's single-payer health care system just 3 years after creating it. In every case, socialist elites promised that if only they could direct the economy, everything would be better. Very quickly, everything got worse. In socialist nation after socialist nation, the only way the government could keep its disgruntled people in line was to surveil and terrorize them. By contrast, in countries with a high degree of economic freedom, elites are not in charge because everyone is in charge. Where no one's in charge, actually. People work, build, invest, save, and create according to their own interests and in service to the common good of their fellow citizens. Okay, let me rephrase that for you. People slave away, try to build, try to invest, pay taxes, and try to create according to their own interests and in service to the common good of their fellow citizens. Okay? Alright? There is a reason why the private economy hews to maxim the customer is always right, while government bureaucracies are notoriously user-unfriendly, just as there is a reason why private charities are cheerful and government welfare systems are not. It's not because grocery store clerks and PTA moms are good and federal bureaucracies are bad. It's because private enterprises for profit or non-profit must cooperate to give, to succeed. So as the American people take back their sovereignty, constitutional authority, respect for their families and communism, in communities, wow, they should also take back their right to pursue the good life. Like that's ever gonna happen. Donald Trump should promote pro-growth economic policies that spur new jobs and investment, higher wages and productivity. Yes, that agenda should include overdue tax and regulatory reforms, but it should go further and include antitrust enforcement against corporate monopolies. It should promote educational opportunities outside the woke-dominated system of public schools and universities, including trade schools, apprenticeship programs, and student loan alternatives that fund students' dreams instead of Marxist academics. Just as important as expanding opportunities for workers and small businesses, Donald Trump should crack down on the crony capitalist corruption that enables America's largest corporations to profit through political influence rather than competitive enterprise and customer satisfaction. Wow. Analogous pro-growth reforms for America's voluntary civil society are also in order. America is not an economy. It is a country. Economic freedom is not the only important freedom. Freedom of religion. Okay. Alright, hold on. Let me rephrase that for you. Economic freedom is not only important freedom. Imagined freedom of religion, imagined freedom of speech, and the imagined freedom to assemble also represent key components of the American promise. Today, in addition to the problem of big tech censorship, we see speakers at universities shouted down, parents investigated and arrested for attempting to speak at school board meetings, and donors to conservative causes harassed and intimidated. Donald Trump must defend our First Amendment rights. Best effort. All right, here we go. We've reached the end. Ultimately, the left does not believe that all men are created equal. They think they are special. They certainly don't think all people have an unalienable right to pursue the good life. They think only they themselves have such a right along with moral responsibility to make decisions for everyone else. They don't think any citizen, state, business, church, or charity should be allowed any freedom until they first bend the knee. This book, this agenda, the entire Project 2025, or should I say, Agenda 2025, is a plan to unite the conservative movement and the American people against elite rule and woke cultural warriors. Our movement has not been united in recent years, and our country has paid the price. In the past decade, though, the breakdown of family, the rise of China, the Great Awakening, big tech's abuses, and the erosion of constitutional accountability, of white power accountability in Washington have rendered these divisions not just inconvenient, but politically suicidal. Every hour, the left directs federal policy and elite institutions. Our sovereignty, our Constitution, our families, and our freedom are a step closer to disappearing. Conservatives have just 2 years and one shot to get this right. With enemies at home and abroad, there is no margin for error. Time is running short. If we fail, the fight for the very idea of America could be lost. But we should take this small window of opportunity we have to act with courage, confidence, not despair. The last time our nation and movement were so near defeat, we rallied together behind a great leader and great ideas, transcended our differences, rescued our nation, and changed the world. It's time to do it again. Now as then, we know who we are fighting and what we are fighting for. For our empire, our freedom, and for each other. That Donald Trump will enter off. Let me just say this. Donald Trump will enter office on January 20th, 2025, with a simple choice: greatness or failure. It will be a daunting test, but no more than every generation of Americans has faced and passed. The Trump promise represents the best effort of the conservative movement in 2023 and the next conservative and Donald Trump's last opportunity to save the republic. They're saying it right here. The next conservative president will enter office on the 20th of next year. I mean, How is this not all planned out? Seriously. World War III is going to be against the United States and China and whoever else, maybe Russia, because Russia and China are actually they actually have a little thing going on. They have some shipping going on. Okay, that I believe is called the Deadly Alliance. I just wanna China China and Russia alliance. Look at this. Look at this. It's the Deadly Alliance. It's Shang Tsung and Quan Chi over here. Okay, this is the Deadly Alliance, and we're all gonna lose. All right, they're gonna beat Raiden, and something bigger is gonna walk up to them and kick all three of them in the ass. It's called Project 2025. Okay. So, there we have it. All you need to do is read all of this. You don't even need to read the beginning. Or you don't even need to get through hundreds of pages. You just need to get through the very beginning. Okay? You just need to get to promises 1 through 4. All right, to know what you want. Or to know what they want. Seriously, this is coming. It's coming, guys. It's coming. Donald Trump, he said he was going to be dictator on day 1 and deport everyone. Seriously, I'm not kidding. He said that. You can look it up. You can fucking look it up. So, there we go. Y'all better stay home and hope that I don't know. Just I know that people are going to go out and vote. I'm not saying to vote for Kamala Harris. I'm not even saying vote for a third party. I'm just saying don't contribute to the issue. Don't contribute. And you know what's going to be worse? If Kamala Harris gets in, that's going to be worse. That's going to be worse. So, just stay home. Don't contribute to the problem. So that when 2025 agenda comes along, you can say, well, not my fault. I didn't contribute to it. I didn't vote for Trump. I didn't vote for anyone. I was at home eating dinner with my family. So there you go. The less people that participate in politics, the less power the government has. If you don't give power to these people, if you don't elect them, they can't get in. But they'll probably just pick someone if no one votes. If no one votes, they'll probably just pick someone. That's usually how it is. You know? They go, okay, class, heads down. Raise your hands if you want extra time for recess. Everyone raises their hand. Okay, guys, who wants extra time at lunch? Less people raise their hand. All right, guys, everyone chose lunchtime, and everyone's pissed off. Yeah, that's usually how it is, guys. That's how U.S. elections work. So, just don't contribute to it. Let all the boomers and the generation after them participate. It's all their fault. Once they all die off, the government will have less power, and they'll be begging for us to get out and vote. So, there you go. With all due with all due respect, with all of that said, I'll see you guys next week, back on the flip side. Peace, and God bless us all.